Welcome to A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. I'm your host, Magic BARCLAY, lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and #1 best-selling author. In this podcast, I aim to give you practical tips on how to accelerate and sustain your health, increase your financial, spiritual and emotional wealth, and to look at something that haunts many of us needlessly, weight loss. In some episodes, I'll have guests available to give you even more tips, but in others, the floor is yours. Drop us a line at A Magical Life Podcast on Facebook and let me know what you would like to know more about. Now, sit back and enjoy, because it is time for you to create and truly discover a magical life. Welcome back to A Magical Life. I'm your host, Magic BARCLAY, and today I'm joined by Daniel Massaioli. Daniel is from Sanair, Australia. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. I appreciate your welcome.
Thank you. Now, listeners, you're wondering what the heck is Sanair Australia? Well, let me tell you, it's a range of products put out by an Australian company that my practice, Holistic Natural Health, are very proud to use with our clients. Daniel, tell me how Sanair came about.
Sanair started years and years ago when my children were young, and we just moved into a brand new home. And the next thing I knew, the little ones were being affected by something that we didn't know for a while. It was caused by actual mould being present in the airborne space inside the home. And it took a long while to investigate and realizing that some parts of the home have been left exposed to the environment and they've been put together, carrying, at the time, spores and that mould that could not be seen, and particularly the air conditioning system. And when I finally realized that, and it took quite a few months of investigation and measurements, I set about creating a product that didn't need us to evacuate the house in order for it to be used and get control of the environmental space.
So many people are listening to this and they've heard of mould and they think mould is just black mould that they can see. But it's so much more. We know there's 37 types of mould. They're not all bad for you, but in an enclosed space, they certainly can be. Now, Daniel, we know that building practices have changed. We're building homes, particularly in Australia, and I'm assuming around the world the same way, where they're airtight, sealed up with silicone, and, nothing can get in or out. And that reduces our capability to get rid of mould and other airborne nasties. So can we just discuss some of the products that Sanair have and what their applications are?
Okay, so yes, you're right. There are quite a lot of mould that are recognisably present always in the environment, that coming from outside and from typical living conditions. And Sanair was designed to address all of these, whether individual or as a group. Our products work on these particular nasties that appear consistently in our indoor environment. We have a range of products. We have a ready-to-use surface mold remover. We require a particular type of application with our natural products, and this application always involves a first application and clean. When you're satisfied you clean the surface, you then leave a very fine coating of the same product to dry on the surface. And that tends to give you months and months of loss. When I say months and months, I'm talking the fastest regress or reoccurrence of mould on a timber door was 8 months after cleaning it with Sanair, whereas beforehand, mould was reappearing every 2 weeks. We have the surface mould remover and very much the LD concentrate that we sell, which is a very concentrated form of the surface mold remover. Those are the two that we typically offer the do-it-yourself person who will be capable of cleaning the mold and not having to reuse this product for 8 months or more. And the longest we've heard in terms of after using our product, our surface mold remover, was we have not seen mold grow again in 3 years. Okay, so our products are not a reuse every 2 weeks product. They're quite a long-lasting effect.
So let me just go to that every 2 weeks product. Many ways that people know how to combat mold involve maybe bleaching, cleaning with bleach, repainting, moving house. People go to extraordinary lengths. The problem with bleaching the mold and cleaning it and repainting is it's actually still there, isn't it?
That's right. What our product does, which is different to the chemicals you described, is that it takes control of the mold in that it burns the mold or destroys the mold all the way down to the root system. And other products, chemical products, tend to burn the top of the mold but do nothing about the root. And then the same mold grows back at you within a short period of time. Whereas if Sanair products are used as we indicate on the instructions, and then you actually get rid of that mold from the substrate. And by the time you see mold grow again, it's new mold, and it's usually in different places to where the original mold that you cleaned was.
So, Daniel, tell us about a couple of the other products. We've got the mold gone tubs. We've got the split system reactive gels. Can you explain those for us?
Yes, the mold gone tub is a labelling approach, an instruction approach for people that have experienced heavy loads of mold and are not necessarily worried about viruses and bacteria. The reactive gel product is the product that we sell when we want to ensure that people get a total indoor environmental control of their indoor air quality. Does that make sense?
It certainly does. And so you have a couple of other products as well. People are probably thinking, mold, that's not just my only problem. My house stinks, I've got pets inside, or something I've just noticed on your website, a mozzie no. So here in Australia, of course, mozzies are mosquitoes and they can contribute to a lot of disease. So they're a great vector of disease. So tell us about a couple of these newer products.
What happened years ago during a promotion on the South Coast on New South Wales was the radio host was talking about Sanair and asking for feedback from the marketplace. And they were getting that feedback. But most people were actually saying, look, it's a fantastic product, but I'm not really worried about the mold anymore because it's actually got rid of the mosquitoes from inside our holiday unit or our holiday house. And so I went out to have a look, and I gave our product to a research centre, and sure enough, the Sanair standard product achieved 45 to 50% by reduction, like all day. And that at first I was enthusiastic about that, but really what it meant is you were still getting bitten 50% of the time. So it went back to the formulation of the many essential oils that we blend to make our product. And I had a good look at the componentry, and I readjusted the ratios of the ingredients to come up with Mozzino. And then I went back to the testing centres, and the testing centres reported that the change was or the Mozzino was actually getting 85% by reduction within 10 minutes of opening the jar in an indoor environment to complete reduction or complete absence of people getting bitten by mosquitoes within 2 hours. And that would lead to a very interesting conversation with the various researchers that were doing the work, because what I think it is that our Mozzino product simply removes some of the items, whether chemical or sourced from mold or sourced from the person occupying the room, to remove some of those items that become airborne that actually attract the mosquitoes in the room in the first place.
Wow, certainly a lot of science going on there. And, listeners, as someone who is the number one target of any mosquito anywhere, I can tell you fantastic products. Now, Daniel, let's get back to mold for a minute. People think, okay, I've cleaned my house and maybe I've moved house and I'm out of the mold situation, but we know that mold attaches to furnishings and it attaches to the person. So I'm obviously the practitioner that helps when it attaches to the person. But attaching to furnishings, I think many people don't comprehend the gravity of this. that you can leave the mouldy situation, take your beds and your couches with you, and you're taking the mould with you. Can you just explain why mould does that? And obviously the products help with combating that, but just get people's heads around the fact that mould travels with you.
We see that all the time, unfortunately. A lot of people escape a mouldy place and do that so quickly that they forget to really clean the clothing, the furniture, the furnishings that they can take with them. And unfortunately, mould exists on everything. And I did read your blog, and you're right in what you say in terms of presence of mould. And you could almost go as far as saying that 98% of indoor airspace around the world is shared with some form of mould or other. Okay, so let's go back to the furniture that people take with them. Absolutely, mould can grow under a bed. It can grow inside drawers. It can go around the furniture in the house. And you just don't know where you're going to find the right conditions for that mould to start growing. Okay, but it's always there. And traditionally, what we have done for a long time is we had that spring cleaning. We had those situations that actually got rid of a lot of dust around the home. And as a result, also got rid of some of the mould that was accumulating inside the home, and therefore saved any major occurrences of mould. But with today's living conditions and with homes and offices and units, apartments that are built so watertight, and then there's less opportunity for people to do this. As a result, what you get is you get a bounce of humidity inside a place that's closed like that. And before you know it, you start seeing mould appearing wherever this humidity bounce has actually happened or occurred at the highest level. And slowly, through normal air drafts, air movement around the place, this mould will start spreading to other parts of the surface until the whole surface and that ends up covered. So what we try and do with our products is we tell people, you use our gels in your air environment, and this very situation will be reduced by 99.9%. We can never be perfect because different indoor environments are different and not the perfect airflow, etc. But you will go a long way with our products, reducing the occurrence of mould in any indoor environment.
So we've kind of discussed the closed air environment, and we've discussed, that mould is so prolific and soft furnishings can be a target for it as well. How exactly do people get control of a mouldy situation? So, for example, in Australia at the moment, as people recovering from floods, around the world, we see hurricanes, tornadoes, lots of rain, tsunamis, that kind of thing. So when weather strikes and the situation ramps up to be a perfect mould breeding ground, what are the steps people need to take to recover?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a long-winded explanation. Okay, mould, I've seen mould grow at -7 degrees C, okay, in particular workplaces. And mould can grow all the way past 30, 35, 40 degrees as well. And they're different types of species. So when we talk about us knowing 1,000 different species of organisms, etc., then that is less than 1% of what actually exists in the environment. So when situations like flooding happens, what one must do is obviously dry and clean as quickly as possible. But that is not enough, because if that water that has flooded the premises has actually had any residence time past 3 hours, 4 hours, then it's penetrated pretty much everywhere where it was touching. So there's solid surfaces that have been in contact with water for such a long time are now actually contaminated within the fibre with whatever that water was carrying. And as we all know, that those flooding waters are not usually clean waters. They're pretty dirty, full of mud and bacteria, pesticides, you name it. So it's why often it's best to get rid or remove most of the material that's been visibly in contact with flood waters. But if you don't want to get rid of the entire structure, then treating with a product like Sun-Air, like our LD or our surface mold remover is the ideal situation, because one or two sprays or product on those surfaces, allowing those surfaces to then soak it in, will actually kill pretty much 99.99% of what's in there. And then you start saving the surface instead of destroying them and having to start again.
Wow. Now, there is another product that you have that we haven't discussed, and that is the testing kits. Can you explain how those work for people?
Yes, the test kits are an agar pad carrying nutrient solutions. One side is generic for mold and bacteria, and the other side is specific for yeast and mold. And you can use them to test an airstream by keeping that strip exposed on airstream for 1 minute on each side. So you can actually get a good measurement, even though there's argument that it's not as good as what a lab is, but it's pretty accurately defined. You can measure the air that you breathe out of an air conditioner, and it can tell you whether there is any mold and bacteria coming out of the air conditioner or coming through the machine. And you can use it to sample any surface you want, whether you sample an air conditioning, you sample a table, you sample anything that's a surface. And it's a pretty easy test. It's when for a surface, you press it down on the surface for 10 seconds on each side. And for air, you hold it. We have a recommendation of 1 minute, 1 minute on each side or 2 minutes on each side. And then we calibrate that to a typical result, can compare it to what is clean, moderately clean, and then dirty. In other words, if it's dirty, you really need to clean whatever you tested now. And if it's moderate, you got time to prepare yourself to clean as in over the next 1 or 2 months. And if it's below a certain count, then you've got a thoroughly clean machine, a thoroughly clean environment, or a clean surface. So the way we use these test kits in our business is that we sell them to tell people to do a before and after. So they can go and test before, then they do the cleaning process that we recommend, and then they test after to make sure that it's cleaned.
Very thorough indeed. And I certainly send the test kits out to my clients to test their environment. Now, Daniel, is there something that we haven't discussed so far that you believe people need to know?
Something we come across incredibly often is that really, really people need to understand that mold should not be underestimated. Okay, if you walk into a place, say coming back home from work, and there's a musty smell in the air, then mold is there. You just got to go looking for it. You're going to find where it's coming from, and you've got to fix it. Because if you don't, it then slowly becomes present in everything you touch and everything you walk through in your home. And then it's almost, unless you do a thorough, very expensive clean with a professional, it becomes something that you walk around with wherever you go. As you correctly said before, people walk around with from new home to new home. We have helped a few people with our surface mold remover, with our household grade disinfectant product, which is also approved against COVID-19 under the TGA licensing. We've helped people by telling them, look, clean your furniture, clean everything before you move it to your new place. Otherwise, you're taking mold species that you're saying were affecting you in the premise you're living. You just got to clean it before you walk away. But,
Definitely. Now, your website is sanair.com.au. So it's san-air.com.au. Of course, Holistic Natural Health Australia is a distributor, and we love the products from Sun-Air. So we can help you get hold of those products, and we can help you get rid of the mold inside you. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us and explaining what the products do, because I just don't think enough people know about them. And we do have a base of practitioners talking to Daniel from around the world. So if we can't help you, Daniel can put you in touch with someone in your locality that can.
Certainly can. Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us, listeners. This was your episode 205, talking to Daniel from San Air. We have some more great episodes coming up for you. And for now, thank you and lead a magical life. Thanks for listening today. Please subscribe to hear future episodes, leave a review, and share this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at A Magical Life Podcast or at Holistic Natural Health Australia. That's holistic with a W. You can find us on Instagram at Holistic Natural Health or at www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au. That's where you'll access all sorts of articles, freebies, and more.